Welcome back to the channel. In the last couple of weeks, I reached out to Yes Welder to see if they would be interested in partnering with me on my project, and they were. And they sent me a new tool for the shop, which is the Cut-65DS-Plus. So in this video, we're going to unbox this and see what all comes in the kit. And then we're going to get out some scrap metal and we're going to start cutting just to see how it goes. So I've never used a plasma cutter before. I've seen them used. I've watched videos of people using them, and I see people cutting metal anywhere from 1 inch. One guy was cutting CV axles in half to down to 3/16 of an inch. My main use for this is going to be to cut sheet metal. So we will try some thick metal. I've got some scrap laying around that we'll try, but I want to see how it does on 18 and 20 gauge sheet metal, which is what I'm going to be using it mostly for. So I'm going to check to see if it causes any warpage, how quick it cuts through it, how clean the cuts are, just to see if it's a viable thing for doing the body work on the truck that I'm doing. So this is how I got it. We are going to cut this open. Let's see what we got inside. And go from there. So I've got a box. It's probably going to have cords and instructions and stuff in it. And the actual unit itself. It's pretty light. It's already got the air fitting on it on the back. It's got the regulator on the top and the cord. Very light. And we have this is dual voltage, by the way, so it'll run on 220 single phase and 110 single phase. So it's got the adapter cord that comes with a lot of the welders these days. It's got a decent length ground cord. And then we have the torch. That's got a pretty good length of cord on it as well. That's pretty nifty. It's got a swivel on the end where it goes into the box. It's even got one on there. It's got a safety lever, I guess, so that you don't inadvertently hit the trigger. We got some of the clear line. It's got some Teflon tape, gouging tip replacements, because you can use this to gouge out welds. So like on when you're welding thick metal together, you can trim the welds down. I saw that on a video. The instructions got Teflon tape, and then it's got the fitting if you're going to use the clear hose. I'll be using my regular air hose for this, and it looks like it's already got the correct tip on it, so we won't be needing that or this. So we're going to get that out of the way. It does not look like it comes with replacement consumables, so I'll have to look at getting some more. Let's see. It's got the tip, the electrode, the swirl ring. So let's get this thing put together and let's see what it'll do. This is one of the bump stops that was on the frame where I notched it. It's 3/16 steel. We're going to try cutting that. I have some 20 gauge steel that we're going to do. This is a piece of 18 gauge, and I believe that this is also 20 gauge. So we're going to try all that. Like I said, I'm mainly concerned with the sheet metal. I've got another piece. This is 20 gauge. This is what I was testing out the profiling machine on. So I want to run a cut on this. I just want to see, this metal's pretty straight. I want to see if it warps it at all. So let's get this machine set up. So the ground cable goes in and rotates, and that's connected. So we have that. And then the torch cable, it has a pin right here for line up, and that goes to the bottom. Push it in. And I'll be setting this on the floor while we're actually cutting with it, just to see. I'll be using my welding table here to cut. Okay, so that's all set up. I've got my air hose. Had to put some Teflon tape on this fitting and tighten it down. So now we have air hooked up, and let's go ahead and plug it in and turn this thing on and see what she does. Okay. All right. So I know that E5 means that the air pressure is too low, so we're going to turn it up. And I know that it said between 45 and 75 psi, so we'll go to 55. And right now it's set to 65 amps. I've got 236 volts going into it, and we're going to do the mode. We're going to do plate cutting, and I'm going to probably turn it down to about 50 amps because we're not cutting anything super thick. But there we go. So I'm going to put that on the floor, and we're going to move the table out here a little bit, and I'm going to try cutting some metal. This is a piece of 19 gauge. Let's see what she does. And that metal, I mean, it got hot, but it didn't get super hot. But that did amazing in the heat affected zone. I'm impressed, and it doesn't look like there's any warpage to that. Let's try it again. That's the first time I've ever used a plasma cutter. So let's try this again. Just do a quick pull. I didn't cut all the way through. There's some slag on the bottom. I'm betting that'll knock off real easy. Let's see. Nope. But that's a fairly straight line. Let's try doing 20 gauge. I'm going to clamp this piece down, and my intention is that I can use this as a guide to slide along and see how good that line looks. And I might need to go a little bit slower, but I think I'm going to bump the air pressure up just a hair. So far, I'm very impressed with this. Using thick welding gloves, the safety's kind of in the way. But I like the idea of having the safety so I don't inadvertently bump it. But what I'm going to do now is I've got a piece of metal that's got a straight edge on it clamped on there, and I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to draw it right along. I upped my air pressure to 65 psi. I'm still at 50 amps. Let's see. Actually, let me bump the amperage down and see what happens. Let's try 35 amps and see how it does on the sheet metal. Here we go. It's warm. Wouldn't grab it with bare hands, but that is a beautiful clean cut. The heat affected zone is very minimal. And even on this thin piece of metal, you can look at it and it did not warp it. There's a little bit in there, but not as bad as I would have expected. So I think I have found my go-to sheet metal cutter. Okay, so cutting that thin piece, you can see it's got a warp to it. I just barely touched it and it went back into shape. So again, nice, clean cuts. I'm very impressed with that. Thank you, Yes Welder. I like this. This is going to work out great for what I'm doing with the truck. So with this, all I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to cut that H out. So here we go. That is on 110. Do you need this thing on 220? No. Because I'll tell you right now, that's a decent cut. Would it do better on 220? Yeah, you'd probably get a little bit smoother of a cut. And if I would have slowed down a little bit, it would have been better. But I'm impressed. So if you're in the market for a plasma cutter, 110 or 220, or dual voltage like what I've got, this Cut-65DS from Yes Welder is awesome. First time user, I'm in love with it already. One of the other features with this thing that I didn't talk about yet is this has 2T and 4T modes. So what the 2T is when you pull the trigger, it goes, you let go of the trigger, it stops. 4T, like with my MIG welder, when you pull the trigger, you can let go of it and it's going to keep going until you pull the trigger again. So we're fixing to try the 4T mode and see how it works. Again, I'm on 110 volts, 65 psi of air pressure, and 45 amps, which is the max you can do on 110 on a piece of 20 gauge steel. Again, a nice, beautiful, clean cut. And that was in 4T. Nothing that can't be cleaned up really quick. I'm very impressed with this, and I think that this is a good addition. Again, the metal is nice and straight. You will be seeing this a lot. So there's a couple other functions on this. One is marking, and then it has one that's gouging that is supposed to remove welds. So I have a couple of MIG welds that are built up. I'm going to try it on that, but I've got it set for marking now, and I'm just going to see what it does. So all that does is does a little bit of a surface mark. Don't know if I'll use that. I guess if I was doing real thick steel, like if I was tracing a template out to be able to cut a notch on a frame, that would come in handy. So let's try this gouging mode and see what that does. I'm going to hit one of these welds and see what happens. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty dang cool. So on the marking, it popped a hole at the start. That hole was already drilled, but it popped a hole at the start of the marking and just does a little groove. But I burnt the head off of both of those welds with the gouging, and that slag would probably clean up. So all it does is melts the head off of the weld. That's pretty neat. Don't know if I would do that on sheet metal because it's going to put a lot of heat into it. You can see that it got a lot of heat affected zone on the back side while I was doing that, but it is definitely something that's pretty neat. Definitely a tool to have. So again, Yes Welder, that is the Cut-65DS-Plus. There will be a link in the description for a discount code, and it will link you to the website. So if you're interested, check them out. Yes Welder's Cut-65DS-Plus. This thing is amazing. 3/16 steel, nice clean cut. But the thing that impressed me the most was doing 20 gauge steel with no distortion, nice clean cut. I haven't dressed that or anything. I'm running my fingers on it. No cuts. Nice clean cut, very little heat affected range. It's going to be great for doing panel replacements and cutting panels down and everything that I need to do on the truck. Thanks, Yes Welder. If you're interested in one of these, again, there's a link in the description to get you here, and there will be a discount code in there as well if you're interested in one. Works great. Cut some thick steel, cut some 1/8 inch thick steel with it on 110, 45 amps, cut like a dream. Definitely worth the money. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next video.